Tier list time! Well, not only this, but we will also analyze the recent changes. As most of you know already, just knowing which heroes are good and which aren't isn't enough. You also need to know why you should pick certain heroes and why others are better left in Moonton's basement. Sounds good? Let's go! First, we take a look at the battlefield adjustments because they affect the placing of multiple roles. Firstly, they reduce the gold bonus you get from the gold lane siege minion. With slower growth, marksmen will have a much harder time to secure their core items in the early game, and their snowball potential is much worse now. This obviously means assassins will have a much easier time preying on them in the early to mid game. To deal with this situation, the babysitting Roma strategy might actually become viable again. How so? Well, if you as a marksman manage to kill your counterpart once and secure all of the turret shield, you basically get 2 waves of gold for free, which means you can actually start your snowballing process. The enemy marksman on the other hand needs forever to crawl back, and you can beat around that poor fella non-stop. More to that when we talk about the gold lane placement. Secondly, Berserker's Fury's price goes brrrr. Crit marksmen were wiping the floor with their counterparts, so Moonton increased the price for their core item to delay their power spike. It is also an indirect nerf for other heroes who used it, for example 𝐵𝐼𝐼 and Link. Thirdly, Twilight Armor's passive got an adjustment. Moonton wants this item to specifically block high damage and prevent the trigger from weaker attacks, but they also increased the flat damage reduction to counter massive damage. This goes hand in hand with the critical nerfs and the buff on All Dog. And finally, they also adjusted the jungle equipment. Moonton really wants to kill off the tank jungle meta once and for all, so they decreased the amount of damage you deal to jungle creeps based on your max HP. Let's say our boy Basha has 10,000 HP in the late game. The old Basha could deal 460 true damage per second, while he can now only deal 322 damage per second. Isn't he cute? That's a 30% reduction from the previous adjustments. This nerf also translates into the objective fights. While tanks perform better in controlling the creeps and neutral objectives, they mostly rely on their true damage when chipping down the Lord. In objective fights, every single digit matters, and if they take too much time securing the Lord, assassins like Lancelot can easily come and steal their Lord with their retreat combo. Now with these changes in our minds, let's move on to the tier list updates. First we have the jungle. In order for us to determine who are the OP junglers and which ones are trash, we need to understand first what even makes a good jungler good. Every jungler has to be fast when clearing jungle creeps. Like, duh. Because if they take too much time clearing and even have a hard time killing Ricky, you can forget about carrying your noob teammates. You will not be even to rotate on time to help them in their ganks. Next is their ability to take on objectives. It can be as simple as killing heroes. And yes, I know killing heroes is generally not an objective, but you need it most of the time so you can actually secure your real objective, which is usually taking down turrets or clearing the turtle or the lord. Currently, the most popular trait for objective fights is CC immunity, so heroes like Martis, Akai, Lancelot and Link have a better advantage compared to others. Since this is a solo queue tier list, independent heroes will be valued higher, especially when this mummy is coming to find your butt. First, here's the S tier list for the junglers. Nolan taking the throne can't be missed. He has insane damage, a flexible item build, and his mechanics are actually pretty easy to learn. The ultimate is also completely broken, as it can be used for executing the enemy or to escape with a built-in Purify. And let's not even start about the short AF cooldowns and the dash abilities. Another contender is Martis. Even though a lot of high-ranking players already know how to face this guy, his CC immunity, insane damage and snowball potential are still pretty annoying to deal with. Fanny also stays on top. If your mechanics are as good as Kairi's, she's literally unstoppable and impossible to catch. Next we take a look at the mid-tiers. Ling fell from grace due to the bad attack speed ratio and critical multiplier. And Moonton sealed the deal with the more expensive Berserker's Fury. There are also some heroes that rose up from the C to the B tier, like 𝐉𝐬𝐧, Hanzo, Benedetta, and Julian. 𝐉𝐬𝐧 and Julian will have a better time competing with tanks in the early game due to the jungle adjustments, and Hanzo and Benedetta are perfect for targeting enemies that gather in a single place, which happens quite often thanks to the healer meter. Tank junglers like Fredrin fell down a tier though, because as explained earlier, tank junglers suffer from the jungle equipment changes. By the way, I also want to introduce a new section, the MLG's favorite pick. Here I just talk about the hero that I want to point out for various reasons. For example, talk about heroes who are underrated or have a special use case in the current meta. For this section, it's the power outrage guy, Hellcurt. This cockroach is pretty fast at clearing the jungle and great at ganking a detached enemy unit. He doesn't even need to go full damage to kill the enemy backline, so slapping a hybrid build on him is often enough. And most importantly, the silent mechanic and his ultimate are extremely good in objective fights. In a close match, these mechanics can secure you the victory, and especially in lower ranks, it's a super useful mechanic. The low rank tier list will come soon as well, I promise. Next, we have the low tier section. A lot of tank junglers fell off after this balance adjustment. They require decent teamwork to perform well in the game, and let's be real here, you don't want to rely on your allies in a solo queue environment. MLG's favorite in this section is Jawhead. He is one of the nastiest heroes to face in a 1v1, especially in the early game, and he can easily invade the enemy's jungle and snowball from there, and obviously steal the enemy's jungler the farm. Next up, we have the Bag of Steel, the XP lane. I call them the Bag of Steel because currently they have the most demanding job description in the game. To be a good XP laner, they must be strong during the laning phase, which means winning your trades and clearing the minions faster than your counterpart, so they can keep rotating to support their allies in the important early game skirmishes. They also have to zone out the enemy's jungler in the objective fights, and often have to act as the pseudo tank for their team. They need to stand in the front to be the sandbag of the enemy, while also returning punches back into their faces. They also have to be independent and have the ability to survive on their own. Even under pressure or outnumbered, they must stand their ground and avoid dying at all costs. It really is a demanding role that requires high mechanical and macro plays, which makes it one of the hardest jobs in solo queue. Now let's take a look at the top tier list. The BBW has finally taken the throne after the recent buffs. His passive heals are insane, and the ability to reach the backline easily while being immune to most CC is absolutely incredible. His damage combo is disgusting, and he can easily delete the enemy squishies despite being built as a hybrid. In objective fights, his dragon transformation will break up any lineup and force the enemies to regroup or run away in panic, but my favorite is still Edith. She's tanky AF with amazing utility skills for team fights, and she can easily trade blows without worrying and turn any losing fight into a win when she enters her kamikaze mode. Next, we have the mid-tier list. Honestly, Terisla almost made it to the S tier. There are just two problems with him. Firstly, a lot of people already know how to stay away from his hammer, and as long as you stay safe and avoid any unnecessary trades with him, your laning phase is mostly in the green. And secondly, slows can just counter him way too hard. 𝐾𝐳𝐿 is extremely good against tanky lineups, especially in the late game, but to be an S-tier hero, his laning phase needs some improvements. One quick combo from a B-tier hero like Dyroth is often enough to break his armor in the early game. Uranus is still strong but not an SD hero anymore, because with the rise of support heroes, the enemies will prioritize anti-heal items that counter his passive from the get-go. And this is dragging down his early to mid-game performance by a lot. 𝐼𝐴 got buffed again, but let's be honest here, we slightly overrated him in our previous tier list. The A tier is a much more realistic placement for him. 𝐼𝐴's buff made him viable again, especially in the healer meta. His extreme late game potential can weed out the annoying healers from the enemy side instantly. While 𝐷𝐵𝐺 finally rose to the B tier with an improved cooldown, mana cost and damage. I would love to claim that my complaint video about 10 useless heroes actually reached Moonton, but knowing them, I doubt they actually watched it. Is there anyone out there who wants to translate my stuff into Chinese? But the MLG favorite is a different hero, of course. I mean, look at the tier list again and tell me which is my favorite. What do you think? Obviously, it's Ruby. Despite being a teamfight orientated hero, Ruby has a powerful laning phase and decent survivability by herself. All of her skills involve CC, and she can dash out to safety using her passive. This 𝐉𝐨 adjustment also fits her new core equipment, which helped her with her cooldown issue. And don't forget, I'm secretly a Soya, so what did you expect? Finally, let's have a look at the bottom placements. Nothing really changed here for our forgotten children. Press F in the comments to pay respect. If I need to pick an MLG favorite, honestly, there's none. Guinevere might be decent as an executor after getting concentrated energy and genius wand, but it's easy to pressure her in the laning phase and predict her ambush gameplay by experience. So let's just move on to the next role, the gold lane. As the most squishy target on the team, it's a given for this lane to be ganked every single minute. So the most crucial trait for a gold lane hero is obviously their survivability. Every gold laner needs to play safely and avoid dying at all costs, as that would massively delay their farming, especially after the gold cannon adjustment. After earning their core items, the next important thing is their late game potential to carry their team. And the final important thing is their ability to push lanes and destroy turrets. No matter how much damage you deal and how many kills you have in your pocket, it's impossible to win without taking down the enemy's base. Of course, if a hero have a strong early laning phase, it will be considered as a bonus point. Let's start with the S tier. Brody is literally the only marksman who have an advantage over any other marksman, as he only needs one core item to cook the enemies away. And on top of that, Blade of the Heptaseas is relatively cheap compared to Berserker's Fury or DHS. Bruno is one of the marksmen who got hit the hardest due to the gold lane adjustment and increased prices, but he still have a decent poke and laning advantage if you prioritize Heart's Claws as your first item. After the non-stop nerf hammer, Moonton finally reverted 1-1's dash speed back to the original, which means she can jump around freely again and destroy those who didn't reach the patch notes. Surely she got buffed because Moonton's balancing team is doing a great job. I'm sure there's no way she only got buffed because Moonton wants to sell that bloody 1-1 skin that is coming up. I know. I will raise a lot of eyebrows with this placing and people will call me biased, but I don't give a damn. 1-1 is an SD hero again. With the full build, you have a higher mobility than almost any hero just without any restrictions. And on top of that, you also get a CC removal skill and a node that lets you become invincible. Sure, I could just argue you don't need to worry about her at all, as this would actually benefit me while playing with her, but no. You need to be bloody careful when you meet her, as she's almost as cancerous as she was before. And the last one on the list is the underdog and the dark horse for the current patch, Aerythel. Even though the buff doesn't make her ride a dog or a horse, but a bloody Ducati.
Oh my god, bro.
The reduced cooldown of her ultimate works perfectly with the Great Dragon Spear. It means she can spam her ultimate more often when clearing minion waves and pushing turrets. Finally, for MLG's favorite, do you really need to ask? Let's move on to the middle tiers. Beatrix is still a decent pick, but her previous nerfs and the adjustments really hurt her performance. especially the adjustment on her ultimate lifesteal and the recent changes on Haas claws. 𝐾𝐲's previous nerfs almost downgraded him to the B tier. Not only does it take much longer now to clear minion waves using his ultimate, but the inherited attack effects also got nerfed to the ground. Speaking of the B tier, Leslie took a pretty hard nosedive from the S to the B tier. She got 3 indirect nerfs. The gold adjustment hurt her the most out of all marksmen, the new price of Berserker's Fury, which he really needs to start to deal damage, and the buff on Twilight Armor will also haunt her performance in the late game. Moskov is a great choice for backdooring and flanking, but MLG's favorite is Hanabe. If you learn her shield mechanics and trigger her shield at the right time, she is literally immune to every CC effect except suppression, of course. She's also annoying AF in the laning phase if you actually play smart with her. Unfortunately, 97% of all Hanabi players aren't playing smart. Unnecessarily trigger a bunch of your viewers? Check. Now let's look at the lower tiers to trigger even more people. I wouldn't recommend any of those heroes in the gold lane unless the situation forced me to. Nathan and Kimmy might be a good option if your team lacks magic damage, and almost all mages can perform okay-ish on the gold lane as they can bully most marksmen away. But the MLG favorite here is actually my guilty pleasure, the good old Layla. She slaps hard in the late game, but you still need to be super disciplined with your positioning. It is actually a great training using her, as you need to master positioning to be effective with her. She's a glass cannon, so one mistake will send her to the grave. Please don't let Nolan come home just to see his daughter 2 meters below ground. Next we have the mid lane. The mid lane is commonly filled with mages or supports, and as the ones that start from the center, it's the mid laner's responsibility to clear the lane and protect the most strategic turret in the game. It is good when they can clear the way faster, because their next job is rotating to help the side laners. They have a crucial role as a second damage dealer during skirmishes, but having big damage doesn't mean anything if they don't have any utilities. With those things in mind, let's take a look at the only S tier mage on the list. Map hacking skills, nasty damage, low cooldowns, and unreachable by most heroes. Novaria is the perfect mage that checks all the boxes. She has a crazy fast clearing speed, and once she turns on the turbo to rotate to one of the side lanes, the last thing you want to see is a Kimi no Nawa meteor heading straight for your face. As for the mid-tier list, we have these guys. The regular PXY or squad always have good utility in team fights and strong high ground defense. But we have to accept that Eve has fallen to the border between the A and the B tier. The nerfs on Ice Cream Wand affected her performance just a little bit too much compared to the other two. Other notable heroes are Kadita for her high burst potential, and despite getting nerfed in the previous adjustment, she has no problem eating up the enemy's backline with a single combo. Lilia also performs much better now after the buff. The Gloom reset helps her to counter jungle tanks like Basha and Fredrin. Supports like Angela and Matilda can also be considered very good picks, but as you all know, they're getting banned way too often in ranked. Valir is also still a very good pick, and you might want to surprise your enemies with a hybrid build. With proper defense items, even burst heroes can no longer one-shot him in a 1v1. And the best part is, the burning bolts still burn a good chunk of their enemy's HP away because they don't really rely on magic power. Finally, the MLG favorite here is Lunox. You may be surprised by this fact, but Lunox is one of the best mages to help your jungler taking down the Lord and the Turtle. She can just blast a lot away with her Chaos ult and finish him off in a few seconds on her own. Lastly, we have the lower ranked heroes. There's not much to say about this list. Cyclops needs a long time to farm before he can properly join a team fight and make a difference, which is why I would always use him as a jungler if you wanna play him, which I understand because he's just super fun to play, while 𝐷𝐻𝐻 is highly dependent on the early game snowball. Once the enemy plays safely though and don't let him get the early advantage, he quickly falls off from the mid to the late game. My personal favorite here is Nana. Molina is always a pain in the butt to deal with, and although her clearing speed is not the best and her burst damage also lacks the punch, playing her is always super fun and what's the most important thing when playing a game? Yes, having fun with it. I wish all Mobile Legends players would remember this fact from time to time. I have another honorable mention though, which is my favorite clown Gord. He's just the worst hero in existence and... Okay, I think this joke is already done too much. I already look forward for all the comments who's saying, he's not an F tier hero, blah! I know, it's a running joke. Let me clown him, okay? He is actually an A tier hero right now. Now heads led to the last chapter. The roamers. If the XP laners have the most responsibility in the game, the roamers have the most diverse. There are actually 3 types of roamers and each of them have a different responsibility. First, a good tank roamer needs to be hard as a rock or hard like my P.
Hey yo, what the?
As they are the sandbag that absorbs the damage for their team. They also need strong CC potential to initiate or control team fights. And the bigger the AoE is, the higher their rate will be. Good rotation speed is also a must, as they must be present in every fight. And the last ability they need is to check bushes to provide vision. A good support needs good support abilities. I know, thanks Captain Obvious. It means they need the ability to protect allies from the enemies and provide emergency backup. Like heals, buffs, shields, CC immunity, and so on. Support heroes will be ranked higher if they can be flexible and work with many allies. Sometimes as a support, your job also includes poking enemies, so the ability to deal continuously damage and frustrate the enemies is also highly rated. Finally, there are the skills that can work with Photo. This item is currently too broken and can avoid many deaths with the emergency shield. Any support that works well with this item automatically becomes a priority on this list. And thirdly, we have the damage roamers. They need the ability to kill enemies even without a farm advantage, and they must have a good rotation to harass the enemies non-stop. It's also good if they provide poke, CC or any other debuffs, but their main objective is to make sure that their key target is always laying down in the dirt, so you can delay their farm. Now we are done with the basic requirements, so we can look at this S tier list. Honestly, where do I even start? Moonton just completely overbuffed many supports and gave them the new item Flask of the Oasis. Matilda and Florin are currently the best supports, closely followed by Angela and Rafaela. I will ban at least 3 of them and pick the last one remaining for your team if you have the first pick. If not, make sure all 4 of them are banned. Lolita is the only tank who stayed in the S tier and is also a ban candidate, as she is a hard counter for so many heroes. I certainly make sure to ban her if I play 1-1. And I also have no favorite here as they are all way too broken. So let's move on to the middle tier list. Kufra and Kadita just can't compete with the OP supports, hence they have fallen down a rank. Aerith on the other hand is probably the best solo queue hero right now. She is a flexible pick in the draft phase, as she can be used as a XP laner, roamer or even as a gold laner. And as I said earlier, the tanky plus damage combo is just too OP. Mommy Hilda also takes priority to keep rising assassins out of the meta, because no matter how much they try, support healers have no way to zone you out of the jungle area. But enough about Mommy Hilda, because MLG's favorite has to be our daddy Franco. The suppression ultimate counters all of the meta junglers, CC immunity means nothing to him, and once you fail to look, that's when you get hooked. Now finally, we have reached the bottom tier list. Basha is a great counter for the healing meter, but other than that, he offers almost nothing. He is a situational pick that gets picked very often, especially in higher ranks, because the situation where he is good often appears, but he is still almost useless as a roamer if there are no healers to counter. The same goes for Johnson. He is only useful if your teammate work together with him, and as this is a solo queue tier list, he can't be higher ranked than a C tier hero. Meanwhile, Saber is one of the best damage roamer to counter those flashy assassins. But always remember, picking a damage roamer requires that you have some sort of front laner in your team. Now watch this video where I try to rank up to Mythic using only trash heroes. It is just a blast playing like one of your hands is tied to your back. Also a huge shout out to our MLG family members, especially the Mythical Glory members like Van and Uvu. See you over there!